Let's breathe together. Breathe in the butterfly. Breathe out the caterpillar. Breathe in the bullfrog. Breathe out the tadpole. Number 3 on my list of strategies to accelerate your recovery is to create an evidence log or an evidence list of all the reasons you know that you're just dealing with a condition in your unconscious mind. Just a brain pattern, a neural circuit of protection sensations that you actually don't have a physical cause for your pain or a physical cause for your sensations of anxiety or a physical cause for your gastric sensations or a physical cause for your panic. There's actually not any predator in your space. There's actually not any unstable structure over your head. There's actually not a war happening in your country at the moment. Hopefully, most of you. I know there are some, but in America at the moment, we're in a space of relative peace, and relative safety. So make a list. That list, for me, was mostly about gathering inconsistencies. So I had inconsistent sensations at times where I realized that if I did certain things, the sensations were not as present or not happening. And so that's one of the ways you can know if the sensations move around. That's another piece of evidence. If you have childhood trauma, then that's something to add to your list, your evidence list, because a lot of folks who've had childhood trauma, when that childhood trauma took place, their nervous systems, like my nervous system, became especially sensitive. And so that's another thing for your list. If you have a treatment that doesn't work or makes it worse, that's more evidence. So if you go in for a shot of a steroid and the steroid doesn't help you, doesn't work, or it wears off quickly, or if you go in for a surgical procedure and that procedure doesn't resolve the issue, then it's not a structural issue. If you go in and you get a scan and there are no breaks in your bones, you don't have a broken spine, you might have some bulges or other abnormalities as everyone has, but as we know from the research, there are people walking around with multiple herniated discs and no pain. Extreme scoliosis, 80%, 70%, and no pain. So these are pieces of evidence. So if you watch your sensations, or you watch the pattern of your sensations, and you can be a bit of a detective and see that every time you hang out with a certain person, or every time you enter a certain workplace, or every time you have a certain set of cues, you get in a car, you sit in a chair, it's a certain time of night, a certain time of morning, you start to notice these patterns. These are all evidence that you're dealing with a brain pattern or an unconscious mind that's trying to protect you from something it thinks is a problem, but it really isn't. So make your evidence log, and if you want more insight into that, into this process, there are a number of books on neuroplastic pain which will give you that guidance. Dr. Schubiner has a great book, and Alan Gordon has a great book. So there are a lot of resources for that. The Curable app has that as a part of its design, and almost every coach will encourage you at some point to really get it, not just intellectually, but in your heart, that you're dealing with a brain-created protection signal. And we all call it something different, right? So Jim Prusak calls it BS. I really like that he calls it BS, the brain sensation. I call it PS, protection sensation, because I like to feel like when those sensations had come up, or when they come up for you, that it's just extra strength, that it's just extra energy to deal with something. And in many cases, it's just dealing with a memory, or it's just dealing with a habit, a habitual pattern. But I really like the way different coaches come up with their different, there's PPDA, there's TMS, there's all these ways of saying the same thing. Basically, that you've got an unconscious mind that runs almost everything in the show of your body. It's running all of the microprocesses in your body. It's running your blood pressure. It's running your dreams. It's running all these restorative things that are happening, moving your immune system around, lymph. You don't have to think about any of it because unconscious mind is doing it. But unconscious mind is also trying to protect you. And so it's really great. If you have an evidence log, it's a way to use your conscious mind to convince your unconscious mind that you are actually safe and you are going to recover and you are on the right path. So make your evidence log, stick with it. I'm here to help. If you need some help, reach out, healingwolfcoaching.com. Thanks for listening.